Carter Shaw faced an impossible choice. The business his family had built for generations was now in jeopardy, and the people he'd trusted were at the center of it. I never thought I'd have to fire the people I trusted most with my family's legacy. After building Black Tech Automotive into a nationwide chain of garages, something had gone terribly wrong. Customer complaints flooded in about dangerous repairs and unsafe conditions. Carter made a difficult decision, trading his designer suit for mechanic's overalls to go undercover in his own business. What he discovered during his secret investigation would shake the very foundation of the empire he had worked so hard to build. Every subscriber means the world to me, and your support keeps these incredible stories coming. If you love heartwarming journeys and unexpected twists, hit that subscribe button and like the video. Also, I'd love to know, where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below and let's see how far this story has traveled. Carter Shaw sat in his high-rise office, looking out at the city below. He had everything most people dream of: a family business with 8 locations across the state, a collection of cars that turned heads, and an office bigger than some apartments. But the stack of papers on his desk told a different story. 70% more complaints in just 3 months, he said to himself, his voice heavy with exhaustion. The crisp pages crumpled slightly in his grip as the words from unhappy customers leapt off the page. Horrible service. Dangerous repairs. Will never return. Carter ran his hand through his hair and leaned back in his chair, the leather creaking under his weight. His phone rang. It was Derek, the district manager who oversaw the South End garage. Don't worry about those complaints, Carter. Just a few angry customers who don't understand cars. You know how they are, Derek said with a laugh. We're handling it. Carter wanted to believe him. Derek had worked for Carter's father for 15 years. He was family, or so it seemed. But the numbers told a different story. Profits were down across all locations. 2 years ago, after his father's heart attack, Carter took over Black Tech Automotive. He focused on growth, opening 2 new locations and updating their computer systems. He trusted his father's team to keep things running smoothly at the garages. But nothing could have prepared him for what was coming next. Mr. Shaw, you need to see this, his assistant said, walking in with her tablet. She pulled up a video rapidly spreading across social media. A customer filmed the underside of their car after a visit to Black Tech's main location. The video showed loose bolts, an oil leak, and a brake line that was barely attached. They said everything was fixed, a woman's voice explained in the video. My kids were in the car when the brakes started to fail. We could have been killed. The video had 50,000 views already, with shares doubling by the hour. In the age of social media transparency, the company's reputation was unraveling in real time. The comments were brutal. Former customers sharing their own bad experiences and vowing never to return. Carter felt sick. This was dangerous. People could get hurt. His father built Black Tech on trust and quality work. What happened to that promise? He called an emergency meeting with his executive team. They sat around the conference table looking at printouts of the falling numbers and rising complaints. We need a PR campaign, said the marketing director. We can offer discounts, maybe sponsor a local event. Get some positive press to push down those negative reviews. Carter shook his head. That's treating the symptom, not the cause. I want to know what's actually happening in our garages. The district managers submit reports every week, the operations director reminded him. According to them, everything is running well except for some supply chain issues. Carter thought about those reports. Always positive. Always explaining away problems. When was the last time he had actually visited one of the garages? I don't think we're getting the full picture, Carter said. The room went quiet. I need to see for myself. That night, Carter couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about his father, who knew every employee by name and worked alongside mechanics when things got busy. The next morning, Carter made a decision. He called his assistant. Cancel my meetings for the next 2 weeks, he told her. And find me a job application for our own company. I want to apply as a mechanic under a different name. No one can know who I am. As he prepared for his first day as Carl Sanders, Carter traded his tailored suit for mechanic's overalls, having no idea how bad things had really become at Black Tech Automotive, or how much it would take to fix it. Carter pulled into the South End garage parking lot at 7:45 a.m. He sat in his old pickup truck for a moment, adjusting his baseball cap. The sign above the shop read Black Tech Automotive, his family name, but the letters were faded and one was hanging loose. A rusty chain-link fence surrounded the property. Old tires were piled near the dumpster. This wasn't how he remembered the place. He walked through the front door with his lunchbox, trying to look like just another new guy. The waiting area stopped him: cold, torn chair cushions, coffee-stained carpet, and a water-damaged ceiling tile sagging overhead. Carter couldn't believe this was one of his garages. "You must be Carl," a middle-aged man said, barely looking up from his phone. "I'm Derek, the manager. Your paperwork's on my desk. Fill it out later. Dylan will show you around." Derek disappeared into his office without another word. A skinny young man with oil-stained hands approached. "I'm Dylan. Come on back and I'll get you started," he said. The garage area revealed worse conditions: oil puddles on concrete, a broken lift in Bay 3, and tools scattered haphazardly. Carter struggled to mask his shock. "Here's your station," Dylan said, pointing to a bench with old tools. Carter picked up a torque wrench with electrical tape wrapped around the handle. When he tried adjusting a floor jack, it refused to move smoothly. "First day on the job?" asked a mechanic named Dave, laughing as Carter struggled. "City boy, huh? You won't last a week here." Carter felt his face flush. He knew cars, his father had taught him, but years had passed since he'd worked on one himself. "Don't mind them," said a woman's voice. A mechanic with her dark hair in a ponytail approached. Her jumpsuit had jade stitched on the pocket. "Everyone was new once. Use this wrench instead. That one's been broken for months." "Is all the equipment like this?" Carter asked. "Pretty much," Jade whispered. "We've asked Derek for new tools and safety equipment repeatedly. Last winter Mike sliced his arm open on that rusty panel cutter. Couldn't work for 2 weeks, no compensation." She held up her hands, showing cuts and oil-stained fingers. "Most of us buy our own gear now." Carter scanned the garage. Mechanics worked without proper safety equipment, grinding metal without eye protection, handling brake fluid barehanded. No ventilation system pulled fumes from the workspace. A frustrated customer entered, complaining about his unfinished car. Dave dismissed him rudely. Moments later, Carter watched Dave fraudulently add charges for parts never replaced. "What are you doing?" Carter asked. "Mind your business, new guy," Dave snapped. A senior mechanic named Frank approached. "Keep your head down to keep this job," he whispered. "That's how things work here." While Derek remained office-bound, the garage descended into chaos. Cars backed up. Customers grew angry. Carter witnessed an elderly woman charged $300 for a $30 repair and a college student's unresolved check engine light despite full payment. At lunch in the stained break room, Carter questioned Jade about the conditions. "It wasn't always like this," she explained. "The old manager cared about quality work. Derek changed everything." Later, Jade demonstrated transmission work. She reached for a tool with a broken handle. "Careful with that," Carter warned. "It's all we've got," she replied. The tool slipped. Jade gasped as blood dripped from her cut hand onto the floor. "First aid kit?" Carter asked, searching. "Empty for months," Dylan said. Jade wrapped a shop rag around her bleeding hand and continued working one-handed, rejecting hospital suggestions. "Can't afford to miss hours. No paid sick time." That night, Carter lay awake, haunted by the day's revelations: Jade's injury, broken tools, unsafe conditions, fraud under his family name. The managers he trusted were stealing from the company while endangering workers. Something had to change, and Carter knew exactly where to start. By day 3 of his undercover mission, Carter had seen enough to make him sick. But what happened that morning pushed him over the edge. The temperature climbed to 100 degrees inside the garage. With no working air conditioning, the heat became unbearable. Sweat dripped from the mechanics as they worked on cars. Carter watched Dylan, the young mechanic who showed him around on his first day, set down his tools and walk to the water cooler. The kid looked pale, his face flushed from the heat. Derek burst through the office door. "What do you think you're doing?" he shouted at Dylan. Everyone in the garage stopped working. "Just getting some water," Dylan said. "It's really hot today." Derek knocked the cup from Dylan's hand, spilling water across the floor. "Get back to work. That Camry needs to be done by noon." "He's been working since 7 without a break," Jade said, stepping between them, her cut hand still wrapped in a dirty bandage. It's dangerous in this heat. Derek turned to her, face red with anger. Nobody asked you. I only hired you to make HR happy about diversity. You want to keep your job? Mind your business. Carter watched Jade's face fall as Derek ordered her to clean up the water. During lunch, Carter sat in the tiny break room with its peeling wallpaper. Frank, one of the older mechanics, spoke about better days. The old man, Carter's father, knew every customer by name. He'd bring donuts on Fridays. If someone couldn't pay their full bill, he'd work something out. People were proud to work here. What happened? Carter asked. New management happened, Frank said. Derek and his crew only care about money. The actual work doesn't matter anymore. After lunch, with Derek out, Carter slipped into his office seeking evidence. In the filing cabinet, he found a folder labeled Incident Reports. Inside were accident reports with dates and injury details crossed out and rewritten. Original report. Worker suffered third-degree burn requiring hospital visit. Edited version. Minor discomfort treated with first aid on site. With each document he photographed, Carter's heart sank further. Behind these papers lay another folder labeled Parts Inventory. A detailed record of parts charged to customers but never installed. Air filters, brake pads, spark plugs, pure fraud happening under his family name. Carter thought of his father, who built this business on trust and quality work. That afternoon, an elderly woman came in for an oil change. Carter overheard Derek instruct Dave, "Find at least $500 worth of problems on this one. She won't know the difference." Just before closing, a woman with a minivan full of kids pulled up outside. Carter watched as she pleaded with Derek. "Please. My car just died. My kids are hungry. I just need to know if it's safe to drive to the hotel." "We're closed," Derek said. "Come back tomorrow. I'm not asking for free work. I just need help right now." Derek laughed. "We don't do charity work here. There's a tow truck company down the street." Carter couldn't take it anymore. His father would never have turned away a family in need. "I'll look at it," Carter said, stepping forward. Derek spun around. "No, you won't. Get back inside, new guy." Carter stared at Derek. Every lie, every stolen dollar, every injured worker, every cheated customer. It all crashed down on him. His father's legacy was crumbling because of men like Derek. "You don't know who you're talking to," Carter said, his voice quiet but firm. "I don't care who I'm talking to," Derek sneered. "You're fired." Carter took off his baseball cap and looked Derek directly in the eyes. "No, Derek. You're fired." The next morning, Carter arrived at South End Garage wearing his tailored suit and polished shoes. Employees stared as he walked through the door. Derek came out of his office, coffee in hand. When he saw Carter, he stopped. The cup slipped from his fingers, coffee splashing on the dirty floor. "Morning, Derek," Carter said. "We need to talk. Everyone gather around." Mechanics formed a circle, some leaning against cars, others wiping hands on rags. Jade stood next to Dylan, her bandaged hand at her side. "I'm Carter Shaw. This is my company, my family's company. For the past 3 days I've been working here as Carl." Carter removed his baseball cap. "What I've seen has shown me how badly I've failed you all." The garage went silent. Derek's face turned pale. "Mr. Shaw, I can explain," Derek started. "The economy has been tough." Carter held up his hand. "Stealing from customers isn't a difficult choice, Derek. Fraud. Ignoring safety issues isn't management. It's negligence. But the quarterly numbers. I don't care about quarterly numbers that come at the expense of safety," Carter said. He turned to the staff. "I apologize to all of you. I trusted the wrong people and stayed in my office instead of seeing what was happening. That changes today." Carter walked to Derek's office and returned with folders containing falsified invoices and altered accident reports. He held them up for everyone to see. "These show parts charged to customers but never installed. These show accident reports changed to hide injuries." He faced Derek directly. "You're fired." Derek looked around desperately. "You can't do this. I've worked for your family for 15 years. My father trusted you," Carter said firmly. "You betrayed that trust. Dave and Mike, you're fired too. I have evidence you participated in the fraud." Security escorted the 3 men out. When they were gone, Carter addressed the remaining staff. Money meant for equipment, safety training, and repairs never made it here. Derek was pocketing it. Carter paused, looking at the broken tools and damaged equipment around him. I understand your skepticism. You've been let down before. I need to earn your trust back. Frank spoke up. We've heard promises before. How do we know things will change? Carter nodded. Let's start with actions. I'm ordering new tools and safety equipment now. It arrives tomorrow. Repair crews will fix the lifts and air conditioning this afternoon. He walked to Jade. You need medical attention. The company will cover it. Take today to see a doctor with full pay. Jade looked surprised. Really? Yes. And everyone gets proper safety equipment and paid sick time starting today. Dylan stepped forward. What about the customers we've cheated? We'll contact each one. Free inspections and repairs for any work not done right. It will cost us, but it's the right thing. Carter saw their skepticism. I'm bringing in someone new to manage this location. Hunter Lopez has 20 years in operations management. He knows how to build a team that respects each other and does quality work. The next day Hunter arrived. The first thing he did was pull up a stool in the garage center. I'm here to listen, Hunter told the staff. Tell me what you need to do your jobs right. For 2 hours he took notes as mechanics described broken tools, unsafe conditions, and disrespect from management. I can't fix everything today, Hunter said when they finished. But every issue will be addressed. We'll start with the serious safety problems and work down the list. Weekly we'll review what's been fixed and what's next. Carter watched from the doorway. Hunter wasn't making grand promises. He was building trust one step at a time. Carter knew it would take months to restore his family's legacy and create something his father would be proud of. 3 months passed since Hunter first pulled up a stool in the middle of the garage and asked the team what they needed. South End Garage looked completely different now. Gone were the oil puddles and broken equipment. The walls had a fresh coat of paint. New toolboxes lined the work area. Proper safety gear hung at every station. But the biggest change was the people. Hunter spent his first week watching and listening. He talked to each employee individually, taking pages of notes about their concerns, from broken equipment to unsafe practices. Instead of making empty promises, he created a detailed plan and posted it on the break room wall. Here's what we're fixing and when, Hunter told the team. If something isn't on this list that should be, write it down. This plan belongs to all of us. I learned in my previous shop that transparency builds trust, Hunter shared during an early team meeting. When everyone knows the plan, everyone can help make it happen. Not everyone welcomed the changes at first. Frank, who had worked at the garage for 20 years, crossed his arms when Hunter introduced a new system for tracking repairs. We've always done it our way, Frank said. Why change now? Because customers deserve to know exactly what we did to their cars, Hunter explained. And mechanics deserve credit for their work. The new repair forms took longer to fill out. Some mechanics complained about the paperwork. The morning safety meetings cut into work time. But Hunter stood firm. I know change is hard, he told them. But I need you to trust me. Give it a month, and if you still hate it, we'll find a different way. After installing proper ventilation systems, Dylan remarked, First time in 10 years I haven't had a headache after a full day's work. One of Hunter's best ideas came from watching Dylan struggle with a transmission repair while Frank watched without helping. Hunter asked Frank to mentor Dylan, offering to pay them both for the time. This led to a formal mentorship program. Experienced mechanics paired with newer ones. The garage became a place of learning. I was ready to quit before the mentoring program, said Luis, a newer mechanic. Now I've learned more in 3 months than in 3 years at my last job. The physical improvements continued. New lifts replaced broken ones. The waiting area got new furniture and the bathrooms were completely redone. Carter approved every expense without question. Hunter and Carter also changed how mechanics got paid, implementing fair base salaries plus bonuses for quality work and customer satisfaction. I was skeptical about the pay changes, Frank admitted later. But my last paycheck was actually higher, and I don't go home feeling like I pushed repairs people didn't need. Jade's transformation was remarkable. Hunter noticed her skill with diagnostics and asked her to train others. When a team leader position opened, he encouraged her to apply. You're the most qualified, Hunter said. Your technical skills are top-notch and people respect you. The day Jade got her new team leader uniform, she couldn't stop smiling. The real test came when Mrs. Jenkins, who had previously left a negative review, brought her car in. The team found her alternator problem and fixed it transparently. "My car hasn't run this well in years," Mrs. Jenkins said. "What happened here?" "New management," Jade explained with a smile. Mrs. Jenkins became one of their best referrals, telling friends, "South End Garage got its soul back." Hunter's approach created a business where both employees and customers felt valued. There were still challenges, but the toxic workplace was gone, replaced by something Carter's father would have been proud of. 6 months after his time undercover, Carter walked through the South End garage. Mechanics worked side by side. Tools hung in their proper places. The floor shined under the bright lights, a reflection of renewed integrity. Hunter now trained managers for all 8 Black Tech locations. The new managers learned that happy employees meant happy customers. Safety became their promise. Carter stopped by Frank's workstation. The older mechanic was showing a new hire how to check brake lines. "Dad would love this," Carter thought, his chest tightening. Buildings and profits weren't his legacy. It was the lives he transformed by becoming the leader they deserved.